I routinely get into the alligator and croc enclosures and, you know, just kind of take a walk around and check things out, make sure everything's cool, the animals are happy, content, and checking for nests depending on the time of year. But right now, super late in the season, but we have a nest in with our Siamese crocodile group. So that's pretty neat. So we're gonna take a look at that and check it out.
The party just beginning and it's all for you and me. You work so hard for what you want, it's where you want to be. You've had your fun and now you're done, so everyone goes home. So what are you doing? There's nothing to do. Wild is where we go.
What you may see is a whole lot of nothing. I'm referring to action-packed, crazy excitement or anything like that. And this goes back to the training that we do with the animals. As a byproduct of the training and that communication gap that you inevitably bridge, you can lower the stress levels of the animals. They also don't really see you as much of a threat anymore. And then it can benefit you in other ways. So whether that be maintenance or training or feeding related things, or even collecting eggs from a nest. So I can almost predict that this female that's right behind me, that's the mom right there. Ooh, wait, there it is. Bing. More than likely come over and check out what we're doing, but she's probably not going to chase me away from the nest. Am I going to put a lot of faith in that? No, absolutely not. It's better to be on guard constantly all the time. And you are getting between a mother and her offspring that I'm going to approach in kind of a non-threatening way, just very deliberate with my actions. And I am going to keep an ear and an eye out for her at all times, because this could be a very dangerous activity. So yeah, I have to be careful all the time. I gotta hop over the rail. Whoa! Dang it, missed that. Okay, so she dove off in the water. You might have heard that in the background, her just doing whatever, but now I have to jump off the dock here and and hopefully, let's try this with the camera on and see if I succeed. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. So yeah, she's in the water now. I don't know exactly where she is. This is pretty late in the season. Super late. Eggs should have already been laid. The eggs should have already hatched by this time in the year. And but for whatever reason, it just seems like a lot of our groups out here are really late nest builders and egg layers. I almost kind of don't care what time of year it happens. If we get productive eggs, viable eggs, you know, they'll still lay eggs. It doesn't necessarily mean they're fertilized or good. The drawback that you have to cooler months when they lay them is if you have like a real nasty cold spell overnight, it can, you know, terminate any kind of development in there, freeze off the eggs. I don't really have a lot of places to set up the camera in here, but the nest is right there, bam. Siamese crocodiles are a mound building species. So some species of crocodiles will just dig a hole in the ground, like Nile crocodiles, for example. And those nests are pretty hard to find until you're pretty much just right on top of them. And mom's trying to kill you. And then you're like, oh, okay, here it is. Let's start digging. And other species that are mound builders, like you have alligators, a handful of different species of crocodiles and caiman that'll build a mound, which is just, you know, anything they scrape together. So what's around, whether it's just a big pile of dirt, a lot of the time it's sticks, mud, vegetation, you know, leaves, all this stuff. And they basically build just a giant compost heap, and that will stay really warm inside and help to incubate the eggs. So just so you have a reference, the nest is right here, the water is that way. So I can look at the camera, I can dig here, I can look at all the different entryways that the mom has to approach the nest from the water. So she's in the water right now, and if she comes out of the water and starts to come closer, you know, I have a couple of different barriers, which are tree trunks that I can kind of get behind and pivot around and get to a safer area, or an exit if she tries to chase us off. So even though I am in here on my own, I don't have any backup, and I highly do not recommend that. That's me breaking my own policies. We generally never go into a crocodile enclosure or any group enclosure without proper backup, which is at least one other trained person. That way, if something does go wrong or you need an extra set of eyes to, you know, kind of watch your back, then you have that. But again, I'm breaking my own rules. It is a little bit cooler today. I am going to trust in the training a little bit, but at the first sign of anything, I'm not going to push my luck. You know, if she comes up out of the water and starts to approach, I'm just going to back off and get out of the way, because there's really no reason to push my luck, especially when I can always come back and do it again when I have, you know, a backup person available. So let's get this going. I got my nest box set up. I already took off the top layer of the nest, and actually let me try and show you this. So it's going to be hard to see on the video, but if you get the idea, there's the first egg. So this, I've already taken and scraped away a bit of a top layer here. It's hard to make out, but we are on a decent little mound here. Let me see if I can show you the back of it, but it's a pretty decent mound, and it's scraped up behind the base of this old kind of tree, myrtle tree type thing here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, so here's the first egg. Here's the nest box over here. There's one of my exits if I have to go that way. She can come in through this direction over here, through this direction over here. So I do have this kind of root bundle and everything to work out in my favor as a safety precaution if I need it. Egg number one. So, you know, it's like a kind of a large chicken egg. It's pretty much oval in shape, not quite chicken egg shaped, but alligator and crocodile eggs are kind of that nice oval. That little thing I just moved away, I think, was poison ivy. Let's get that out of the way so you can see unobstructed. A lot of people know, I mean, this is well documented, pretty much common knowledge. I say common knowledge, but for, you know, anybody that doesn't work with alligators and crocodiles, why would you know this? So it's not that common knowledge. But with reptile eggs, you can't turn them, you know. So like with chickens or birds, the parents do turn them. They rotate them while they're developing. But with alligators and crocodiles and reptiles in general, they have to stay in a fixed position. So the way that they're laid, that's the way you have to pull them exactly out of the nest, place them in the box, transfer them to an incubator without rotating them. Otherwise, the developing embryo can drown in the egg. So I found that first egg really easy. And now I'm not seeing any more. So most of the time they lay them in a big bundle, you know, it's all together. So once you find one, that'll just connect you to the next one, the next one, the next one, the next one. But sometimes as they're finishing laying and they're covering up the nest, you'll have one or two kind of stragglers that come out right at the end. So those are right near the surface. They don't stick them right in the top of the mound either, like right where you'd want it to be. Oh, let's just dig right in the middle and ta-da, there it is. No, it doesn't always work that way. Now, the whole dang clutch of eggs could be way the heck over here on the side of the mound. It's not always directly right in the middle, so finding the eggs is easier said than done sometimes. You just gotta dig like an aardvark in a termite mound. You gotta be careful not to blast through and smash up the eggs as you're digging either. There's other animals in here too, so it doesn't mean that they aren't going to get curious and see what's going on. And sometimes you will have multiple females guarding the same area also. Almost like a very cohesive mom group. Like, stop messing with that one's babies. I'm gonna get you. Now, some people take it for granted what the average clutch size should look like. You know, on average, most of your alligator and crocodile species will lay anywhere from 30 to 60 eggs. That's an average. That doesn't always hold true. I've seen some nests or clutch sizes of like 10. And then the following year, that same female winds up laying 30 or 40. It really just kind of depends on the female, you know, circumstances throughout the year, what, you know, is happening inside the body. I'm gonna be really surprised if that's all we got was just a really small handful. It can be somewhat discouraging if there's a stressor you're unaware of, or you have a younger female that's just maturing. It's not uncommon to see the females start to nest, and then something happens, stresses them out, or maybe it's just a really weird rainy season or summer or whatever, and they wind up laying the eggs, and bloop, 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 they're all in the pond instead of in the nest. Or they don't nest at all, and you know, especially when it's a newly maturing female and they're not quite sure what the heck is happening with their body, because it's not just like, oh, okay, well, you know, I feel like I have eggs growing in me. It's not what it's like. You know, it's a very weird time to sexually mature. The body's changing, all that good stuff. So sometimes they just don't know what to do, and they don't quite know how to nest. This particular female, she's nested before. She's done this, so it's not her first rodeo. It doesn't mean that she can't still fall victim to stress. It might not have anything to do with us. I keep hearing something. There's a lot of just random wildlife too, though. So there could be birds rummaging around in the bushes. And I keep thinking it's her coming up. I don't even see her yet. So we found all the eggs that are in there. Not a notable clutch size at all. I think she probably dropped the bulk of them in the pond itself, and that's why she wasn't really coming up to even investigate. She did come a little closer. I couldn't quite see it, couldn't quite catch it with the camera. She's walked off now, but we're gonna make our way back towards the gate and get out of the enclosure. I'll try and walk you back out with me, see if there's any shenanigans. Sorry for the turbulence, we'll edit this out. The other tricky part too is now I have to keep this box level. Like I was saying earlier, you cannot roll the eggs, so you have to be very careful to keep them the same position they were when they were laid, and not shake them up. You know, it's not a milkshake. Anything else that could disturb the developing embryo or baby that may be in there. I have no idea where she is now. She was just up here, just scouting around, taking a look. Oh, I see her tail. So she's on the other side of the dock. So she's in a blind spot right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off so I can do this safely, and we'll come back to you in a second. Sorry, I got a twig that fell down on the back of my shirt. It's really annoying. But yeah, as soon as I turned off the camera and got closer to the bridge, she was like, pew, and just took off. And we didn't have any problems hopping up on the dock. It was a little awkward. It was safer to have two hands anyway. I jokingly say, do things the safe way when you have the option to do it. And guess what? You always have the option to do it the safe way. It might take a little longer sometimes. You might not look as cool to your friends. At the end of the day, who cares? I don't really care about looking cool or not. I just want to walk away with all my fingers. So that's how I roll. There you go.